You kill people, and they give you a reward?
Better they are, bigger the reward. I'm looking for the Brittle brothers.
I know what they look like, all right. They sold my wife, but I don't know the who.
You help me do that. I'll give you your freedom and take you to rescue your wife.
What's your name? Django. The D is silent.
I've always knew that if I ever did a Western, I would kind of do it more in the spaghetti Western kind of vein, that kind of surrealistic landscape. And one of the things I like about spaghetti Westerns is the fact that, especially like compared to the Westerns made, and they were being made for the most part in the 60s, something like the Burt Kennedy, Andrew McLaughlin years, McClintock and War Wagon and things like that. When the spaghetti Westerns came out, they actually made those Hollywood attempts at Westerns in the 60s seem like old-fashioned overnight, because there was a different spirit to them. On one hand, they seemed more realistic with their dealing with anti-heroes and violence, and on the other hand, they also seemed surrealistic. And there was this operatic quality to them. And they usually dealt with, one of the most, with a brutal West, with the villains capable of all kinds of almost like Nazi, fascistic like atrocities. And the heroes could almost barely be called heroes, all right? They're anti-heroes. Usually the only thing that makes them heroes is their contrast to the villains. And so in trying to think if that's the kind of world I wanted to portray, but actually do it in a genuine American story way, not some pastiche of European Westerns, in trying to think of that as a landscape, what would be the true American equivalent of that? And that would be, to me, the antebellum South during slavery. And a man who was an ex-slave taking them on would be the perfect American equivalent of the spaghetti Western universe.
Hello, you poor devils. Is there one amongst you who was formerly a resident of the Karukan plantation?
I'm from the Karukan plantation.
Who said that? What's your name?
Django.
Then you're exactly the one I'm looking for.
That's what's great about being in Quentin Tarantino world, the fearlessness, to be able to go somewhere where no one else is gone. When I heard about Django, I said, man, if I don't... First of all, I heard about Django. I didn't even get the script, be honest with you. I saw it on the internet where Will Smith was playing, and I was like, damn, another project that I didn't hear about, down the drain, and then I changed managements. And then the next thing you know, I got a chance to, jockey for position.
When Quentin called me to offer me the role, I did something I've never done before. I burst into tears on the phone with him. And I think partly that was because I was tremendously honored that he was asking me to bring life to this character. And I think partly it was because I was very intimidated and afraid of the character and the things that she has to go through emotionally and psychologically.
These characters that he creates have so much depth. He might not always have intended it, but it gives me every possibility, and it makes in what he calls dealer's choice, because sometimes I say, I'm not sure which one would be the better version. And he said, do them both, one after another, and then I have dealer's choice.
Do you know what a bounty hunter is?
No.
Well, the way the slave trade deals in human lives for cash, a bounty hunter deals in corpses. Prost. The state places a bounty on a man's head. I track that man, I find that man, I kill that man. After I've killed him, I transport that man's corpse back to the authorities. Sometimes that's easier said than done. I show that corpse to the authorities, proving, yes, indeed, I truly have killed him, at which point the authorities pay me the bounty. So, like slavery, it's a flesh for cash business.
What's a bounty?
It's like a reward.
You kill people, and they give you a reward?
Certain people, yeah.
I'm not surprised at the quality of it. And I'm not surprised that the story takes some interesting twists and turns. I mean, that's one of the great things about reading a script that Quentin writes. You don't know what's going to happen on page 35 or to page 40 to page 75. They're unpredictable. He's a storyteller. He tells compelling stories. He, as I say, makes the kind of movies that he wants to see, and he makes the kind of movies I want to see myself in.
I thought it was an amazing script. What I found, though, was the love story between Django and Broomhilda was a gold. And that's not necessarily a Quentin Tarantino thing. As we read the script, he actually added more ingredients to the love story, which really does a couple of things. For one, it gives Django a journey of not just revenge, but when you see Django and he's in love with Broomhilda and he's basically walking wherever he has to walk in order to get to her, that's what really makes it gold. And now women, especially like in the States, black women are like, oh my God. Oh, I love some Django. I need a Django in my life. Where is my Django?
This was a time in American history where black people weren't allowed to fall in love and get married legally. So the fact that these two people who everyone was telling them they were a fraction of a human being, but they so believed in their own humanity and their love that they found a way to be together, I thought that was incredibly important and romantic.
You said you ain't know him.
Huh?
I said, you said you ain't know him.
I don't.
Yes, you do.
Mrs. Stephen, I don't.
Why is you lying to me? Then why is you crying?
You scaring me.
Slavery has been avoided in Westerns constantly. There's, a lot of Westerns that take place during slave times. They don't avoid the Civil War. The Civil War comes up oftentimes in Westerns, but slavery has been avoided. There's really only been there's only been 5 American movies that have truly dealt with slavery in the Western format. And now we're number 6.
I thought from the very beginning it would be really exciting and interesting to do a film about slavery with a filmmaker who's not intimidated by violence and brutality, because I think so often on film, slavery has been romanticized and it's been made to seem as if things weren't so bad and black people didn't mind being slaves. And in this film, I mean, the reality is so much worse even than what happens in the film, but you really see more than I've ever seen before the true horror of what slavery was. And yet, he entertains you and leaves you with this epic hero's journey for love that makes you walk out of the theater feeling uplifted and inspired.
Bullseye.
So you really free?
Yes.
You mean you want to dress like that?
Quentin was great in allowing music to be played in between scenes, so I took full advantage of that to sort of ramp it up so that you feel sort of like that undercurrent of what was going on.
Quentin's film sets are very different from everybody else's in terms of the level of fun that you're going to have. Some people tend to take themselves really seriously because they're making a film. Quentin, you're making a movie. You're there to, kind of play a big kid's game. Everybody's playing make-believe. The things that are serious just happen to be serious. The things that are funny just happen to be funny. There's no emphasis to say, okay, we got to make this funny, or we got to make this serious, or you got to, take this seriously. No, you just kind of do it.
You mind telling me what the hell you doing?
Don't get so carried away with your retribution. You lose sight of why we're here.
You think I lost sight of that?
Yes, I do. Stop antagonizing Candy.
I'm not antagonizing. I'm intriguing him.
I actually have a lot of different emotions I want an audience to feel. There's funny stuff in there, I want them to be able to laugh. There's exciting stuff in there, I want them to have the fun of the adventure. There's horrific stuff in there, and I want them to feel that pain. There's suspense sequences, I want them to be on the edge of their seat. There's cathartic violence sequences, I want them to feel the catharsis. But ultimately, at the end, I want them to be cheering for Django. Then it becomes a situation of just taking all those different emotions and balancing them out enough so I get the end result that I need.
Oh, very well.
It's entertainment. The subject matter or whatever, it just happens to be the backdrop of what's going on. And it's not like Django's trying to end slavery or anything else. He's just trying to rescue his lady love from the clutches of wherever she is, and it just happens to be that.
Gentlemen, you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.